Hey folks, this is Katya, the vegan powerlifter, and I wanted to cover training with injuries today, specifically back hernia. I get this question a lot, and even though I am not a doctor, you should listen to your doctor first. I'm not a physical therapist, not a dietitian. I'm not here to treat any disease, and this is for entertainment personnel only. Disclaimer out of the way. I get asked this question, and I do have some thoughts on the topic from experience training myself, training clients, my father training, who has had hernias removed, training before, training after, basically for his entire life. So let's get started. Support this channel and click a like and subscribe if you haven't yet. I have had a hernia probably since 17 or 18, and we found this out because we did an MRI. My back was hurting, and I was jumping from trees into water the whole summer, that summer. Maybe I've had it from earlier. I was not strength training then. I was just regular skinny fat teenager, and I like to jump into water with my back towards the water. I found that it was a really pretty way to take pictures, and it was cool. Not a lot of people could do that. Everybody would jump their head and eyes on the water, their head first. But I thought it was cool to do something that nobody else could, and that resulted in a hernia. Probably, that's my guess. We'll never know. We'll never know what the hernia is actually from. You'll probably never know what your hernia is actually from. Your doctor cannot tell you. You can just see the result. You can just see that it's there. So you can continue guessing, but it's a pointless exercise. It's a pointless game. And if it is not hurting, it is likely not a problem. Most people have back hernias. Most people have lower back hernias. In my experience, L2, L3, or L1, L2, those are the typical places that people have complained to me, people in my family, where I personally have hernias. But not always is it an issue, and not always does it mean you should just stop training and sit on the couch for the rest of your life. Why am I saying this? Well, the number one reason is because if you have some kind of an issue and you stop working out, you stop training, you stop engaging your muscle, long term, your muscle is going to kind of dissolve. It's called sarcopenia, muscle disappearing with age. That's how we get weaker and more feeble people with age. It naturally happens when you don't exercise, but if you used to exercise and then you stop, then you can't prevent this process. You can't prevent from getting weaker and weaker with time. You can stay a little bit stronger or a lot stronger depending on what your training regimen and input is like, if you train consistently and if you train heavy. Now, when should you not train if you know you have some kind of a hernia or problematic situation, not only in the back but anywhere else? When it is in an acute phase. Let's say I scratched myself. I'm not going to put sand on this, or I'm not going to over rub this place if I have a scratch and it is irritated, it is bleeding or something like that, right? If I broke a leg, I'm not going to try to walk on that leg immediately. It only makes sense. So if you have an acute issue, wait until it is not acute anymore, wait until it heals, and then consult your doctor. When your doctor releases you for exercise, you're probably good to go, right? When my scratch heals, I can touch my skin again. I can wash it. I can walk in the garden even without gloves. It is probably going to not cause any issue if the sand gets on my hand versus if the sand gets inside of a scratch. Now that's an issue. If the dirt gets in there, now we might get other problems. We might get an infected inflammation. So I'm only saying this comparison because people worry when something happens inside more than on the outside where they can see it, or when they know oh, I broke a leg, it's gonna heal and then I'm gonna walk again. When it's something like a hernia, people are sometimes obsessing over looking for like the solution to remove it, even if it doesn't bother them. So most people have hernias. Most people do not have perfect backs. They have scoliosis, they have some kind of postural disorders. And I see this in photos of my clients, for example. The majority of the people, like, they're not just perfect straight dolls. You know, one shoulder will be lower than the other. The hips, the back sway will all be different. And if it doesn't bother you, if that's okay. That might be just a part of your genetics and a part of your anatomy. Don't fix a problem unless it bothers you. I think I'm butchering the Italian saying. Please correct me in the comments if you know the original version of that. But you can get massage if it feels good. It's not going to get rid of the hernia. You can get surgery if it's in an acute phase. You can get some kind of a PT regimen that makes you feel better temporarily. So there are things to take care of an acute phase of the hernia that I'm not here to advise on because I'm not a doctor. My point is, after the acute phase and pain has kind of been alleviated, you can probably go back to training normally, and you can increase your load in the gym and your volume until the comfortable point. Like I said, I've had a hernia since 17 or 18, where I have not been training. I'm not a lifetime athlete like most people think. I started training mainly after college. I trained a little bit in college, but mainly after college I started lifting more heavy weights consistently. And I did not have the muscles protecting my back from the hernia developing when I was younger. It wasn't an issue. It wasn't hurting. We just found that it was there, and my mom was really worried. But the doctors were like, "Yeah, it's not bothering her. Most people have one. That's okay. She should just live her life." And also, the hernias have this ability to get smaller and larger depending on what you're doing, or regardless of what you're doing. Just because, you know, your body does things sometimes. Just because there might be a reason, you might kind of deduct this reason and find out that that's the most likely reason you have got the hernia. Like me, I think I got it from jumping from trees, but it might not be the right reason. Also, it doesn't matter, like, at all. You might also not find out why certain things happened to your body and why you ended up in, you know, whatever the imperfect body that you currently have, but it also doesn't matter. Like, I just cannot stress enough that it doesn't really matter how you've arrived to this situation, unless it's something problematic like bad habits or something in your lifestyle that you constantly repeatedly do that breaks you a little bit, and over a long period of time that results into a major problem, right? Unless it's those situations, that's okay. Bodies sometimes just do things. I get asked about axial loading for people who have hernia a lot, and here is my answer. Axial loading is probably one of the safest things to do. So that means barbell back squats, bench presses, and deadlifts are one of the safest things to do. Running and jumping and gymnastics are probably the least safest things to do, and yoga, or like stretching. A lot of people like to hang on the pull-up bar for a certain amount of time. Like, they would hang for, I don't know, 5 sets of like 60 seconds, and their body weight will kind of pull on the constraint. If there's like a constrained nerve, if it's an acute phase, it makes them temporarily feel better. A massage might temporarily make them feel better. I don't think those are solutions at all. I don't think they're long-term solutions. I don't know too much about yoga, but so far from the majority of my lifting friends and myself, we have gotten more of oh, I think I pulled this, oh, I think my knee feels weird or overstretched from doing yoga, just because we did like whatever the Western world did with yoga. That was the only thing available. I've never been to India. I've never done whatever yoga was actually meant to be. So whatever the white people version of yoga that was accessible to me that I've tried, I don't think that's ever impacted my body too well. Maybe the mental yes, like meditation and all of that, sit and trying to be chill, sure, but I can do that at the house. I don't have to be in a warrior position to focus on my breathing. So I don't think yoga is a super like relevant solution to hernias in the long term. Why do I think strength training, and namely axial loading that everybody's afraid of, is a solution to protect yourself from pain, potential pain that you could end up with if you've had a hernia after many years of living with that hernia? That is because you will grow a substantial amount of skeletal muscle, and your body will be like a corset of muscle. So when you do anything, anything, from walking to swimming to accidentally falling or picking up grocery bags or helping a friend move a couch or picking up your dog or your baby, your body will rely, instead of on a skeleton, it will rely on your muscle. It will rely on that corset that you've built for yourself over time that now protects your bone. It now protects your joints. You should, of course, stretch. You should, of course, work on active mobility ranges. You don't have to only achieve that with yoga. You can achieve that with static and dynamic stretching. And if you need a mobility program, you're always welcome to hit me up and submit a coaching application. I do help people develop better mobility in their ankles, in their hips, and in their thoracic spine. It's not very difficult. I do write programs for that. Or if you want a solid strength training program, if you're not in an acute phase with your hernia, you're also welcome to either get any of the free or affordable things in the description, or the Vegan Powerlifter Starter Guide, or hire me as a coach. I am happy to help. But you don't have to do any of those things. You can just Google up anything else that helps you get started on a strength training program and build muscle. There's a million options on the internet these days. Just don't get lost in those and get started as soon as possible. Procrastinating, if you know you've had a postural disorder or hernia or something like that and it doesn't hurt anymore, I don't think procrastinating helps. I don't think finding like the best solution because you have this like imbalance or because you have this hernia helps anybody. Just go to the gym and start figuring out how to work with barbells. And if you're clueless, you can either, again, hire a coach or just research yourself. It usually takes more time, which is why people hire coaches in the end. But there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do this yourself. I find very hypocritical when people are like, "Oh, there's this program that like helps you get rid of pain from hernia, or from like this can fix your posture." No, it can. Nothing can fix your fucking posture. Okay, nothing can fix your posture unless you are 15 and below. If you are a child, you can get your posture fixed if you go to the right therapist, and they're not chiropractors. If you go to the doctors that work on posture and give you the right PT and the right exercises and whatever else is necessary. I'm not a specialist in this, but after this, your skeleton just solidifies, and whatever the posture you ended up with, it might look better if you put more muscle, and if, for example, you stretch the chest and from this kind of velociraptor position that you've obtained in the office, now you've obtained open shoulders because you've strengthened the back and stretched the chest. Yes, your posture might look better. Is it now fixed? No, because there was nothing wrong with it. If you have a posture that is different from other people or different from like the norm, there is nothing wrong with you, because nobody is a perfect human being, and nobody just has, you know, perfect boobs, perfect butt, perfect nose, posture, whatever the combination of things. It's fucking irrelevant and made up. And I'm so sick of hearing like, oh yeah, that like this just doesn't look right. This doesn't look normal. Especially like now living in Russia, I feel like people strive, and women strive, to like such an absurd beauty standard that is mainly superficial. It's just mainly like your face. and how you look in clothes versus how you feel inside, and how what your labs are, and how you look in the mirror, how you feel when you look at your naked body in the mirror versus those things. So yeah, I'm a little pissed because I feel like no matter how many videos in Russian, I've started a Russian YouTube channel as well. I feel like no matter how many videos I record on the topic, the vanity still wins, and it will win. No matter how many people on the internet, like myself, how many sane people talk about it. So anyways, I feel like I've covered enough of what I wanted to say. If you have any questions, or if you just want to share your situation with dealing with pain from hernia or any other issues, you know, necks and wrists and knees and ankles, please drop your stories in the comments. I would be really curious to hear. And as always, folks, thank you for tuning in. You can join me on any other social media platforms that you use. Add the links in the description, and I will talk to you in another video.